Did you know that every single year, the Social Security Administration accidentally declares thousands of living Americans dead, and some of them don't find out until their bank account is suddenly frozen or their Medicare card stops working? If that sounds terrifying, it absolutely should. Because this isn't just a clerical inconvenience, it can turn your entire financial life upside down overnight. Today, we're going to walk through exactly what happens, why it occurs, and most importantly, what you need to do step by step to fix it. If you find this helpful, and I truly believe you will, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe so you never miss our updates, and drop a comment below sharing whether this has ever happened to you or someone you know. Now, I want you to imagine for just a moment that you wake up on a perfectly ordinary Tuesday morning. You make your coffee, you sit down, and maybe you check your bank account online like you always do. But instead of seeing your familiar balance, you see a message that your account has been frozen. You call the bank, and after a long hold, a very uncomfortable representative tells you something that makes your stomach drop. According to the Social Security Administration, you are deceased. You, sitting right there in your kitchen holding your coffee mug, have officially been declared dead by the United States government. It sounds almost darkly comedic, doesn't it? Like something from a movie. But for tens of thousands of Americans every year, many of them seniors just like you, this is a very real, very frightening experience. So how on earth does this happen? Well, the Social Security Administration maintains what is called the Death Master File. This is a massive database, updated constantly, that tracks the deaths of Americans for purposes of managing benefits, preventing fraud, and coordinating with other federal agencies. The problem is that this system, like any system operated by humans, is imperfect. Sometimes a data entry error occurs. A single digit off in a Social Security number can accidentally tag the wrong person as deceased. Other times, a funeral home submits a death report and a clerical mistake matches it to the wrong record. It can even happen when a family member reports a death and there is some confusion about names or identification numbers. The SSA processes millions of records, and in that ocean of data, mistakes happen. Unfortunate, yes. Impossible to prevent entirely? Apparently so. Now here is where things get genuinely complicated, and I want you to pay close attention here because this is the part that surprises most people. Once the SSA marks you as deceased in their system, that information flows outward like a ripple in a pond. It doesn't just stay quietly in a government database. Within days or even hours, banks receive automated notifications. Credit bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, update their records. Medicare gets notified. The IRS gets notified. Private insurance companies check against this file. Suddenly, you don't just have a problem with one agency. You have a problem with nearly every institution that governs your financial and medical life. It's like a single wrong domino knocking down an entire row that stretches for miles. Let me tell you about a woman, I'll call her Margaret, though her story represents many real cases, who experienced exactly this. Margaret was 67 years old, recently retired, and living comfortably on her Social Security benefits and a small pension. One morning, her Social Security direct deposit simply didn't arrive. When she called her bank, she learned her account had been flagged because the SSA had listed her as deceased. Over the next several weeks, Margaret discovered that her Medicare coverage had been suspended, her credit cards had been frozen, and when she tried to file her taxes, the IRS rejected her return because, according to their records, she no longer existed. It took Margaret over 4 months to fully restore her life to normal. For months of scrambling, calling, documenting, and fighting, not because she had done anything wrong, but because someone somewhere had made a mistake in a database. Now, I know that story might feel alarming, and I don't want you to walk away from this video feeling scared or helpless. Because here's the truth, and this is the most important thing I'm going to tell you today, there is a clear, step-by-step process to fix this, and if you act quickly and decisively, you can resolve it. Let's walk through it together, just like we're sitting across the table from one another. The very first thing you must do, and I cannot stress this enough, is visit your local Social Security office in person. Not online. Not over the phone. In person. The SSA does not have a mechanism to correct an erroneous death record remotely, and trying to do so will only waste precious time. Go to your nearest office and explain the situation clearly. Here's something reassuring: you typically do not need an appointment for this kind of emergency. It is treated as a priority matter. When you go, you must bring original documents, not photocopies, not notarized copies, but originals or certified copies. Things like your U.S. passport, your state-issued driver's license, a military ID if you have one, an employee or school ID, or even a health insurance card, though notably not your Medicare card, since that system may already be compromised by the error. These documents are your proof of existence, and they need to be the real thing. Once you're at the office, there is a specific document you should ask for by name. Request the Erroneous Death Case, Third-Party Contact Notice. This letter is extraordinarily powerful. It is official SSA documentation stating that the death report was made in error, and it serves as your golden ticket when approaching every other institution. Think of it as your "I'm alive" certificate. Banks, doctors' offices, insurance companies, the credit bureaus, present this letter to each of them, and it gives you a foundation of legal credibility to stand on. Speaking of the credit bureaus, this is a step that many people forget or delay, and it can cost them dearly. The SSA correcting their internal record does not automatically update Equifax, Experian, or TransUnion. You need to contact each of the three bureaus separately and request that they remove the deceased flag from your credit report. Don't assume they'll catch up on their own; they often don't, at least not quickly. Your credit score, your ability to use credit cards, take out a loan, or even rent an apartment, all depend on your credit file reflecting that you are very much alive and well. Medicare deserves special attention too, because for many seniors, healthcare coverage isn't just a financial matter, it's a matter of safety and dignity. If your Medicare benefits have been suspended, contact Medicare directly with your SSA correction letter in hand. Explain what happened and request immediate reinstatement. If you have private insurance in addition to or instead of Medicare, call your provider's customer service line and go through the same process. Don't let this step slide, because a lapse in medical coverage during this mix-up period could leave you in a genuinely vulnerable position. And then there's the IRS, which, let's be honest, is an agency that most of us would rather not have to deal with under any circumstances. But if you've been declared dead in the SSA system, your tax return will almost certainly be flagged or rejected. If you find yourself hitting a wall with the IRS, there is a lifeline available to you called the Taxpayer Advocate Service. This is an independent office within the IRS specifically designed to help people who are experiencing financial hardship or bureaucratic roadblocks. They can intervene on your behalf and help untangle the tax-related complications that come with an erroneous death record. Don't hesitate to reach out to them; that's precisely what they're there for. Now, what if you do all of this and you still run into resistance? What if the SSA office seems unhelpful, or a bank refuses to unfreeze your account even after seeing your documentation? This is rare, but it does happen, and you are not without options. One of the most effective and underused resources available to ordinary citizens is the Constituent Services Office of your local U.S. congressional representative or senator. These offices exist specifically to help people navigate problems with federal agencies. When a constituent calls with a documented case of bureaucratic error, congressional staffers can often apply pressure and cut through red tape far faster than you could on your own. It might feel a little intimidating to contact your representative's office, but I assure you, they hear from constituents regularly, and this is exactly the kind of situation they are equipped to help with. And if a financial institution or credit bureau continues to be uncooperative after you've provided all the documentation they could possibly need, you have one more powerful tool at your disposal: the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, or CFPB. Filing a complaint with the CFPB puts your case on record with a federal watchdog agency that has real authority over financial institutions. Banks and credit bureaus take CFPB complaints very seriously, and often the simple act of filing one is enough to prompt swift action. What I want you to take away from everything we've discussed today is that while this situation is deeply stressful and genuinely disruptive, it is fixable. Every step has a solution. Every institution has a process. And you, armed with the right documents and the right knowledge, are fully capable of navigating this. The key is to move quickly, stay organized, keep copies of everything you submit, and don't be afraid to escalate if someone gives you the runaround. As we wrap up the main part of today's conversation, I want you to feel not just informed, but genuinely empowered. Because knowledge like this, knowing exactly what to do in a crisis before the crisis happens, is one of the most valuable things you can have. In just a moment, we're going to bring everything together with a few final thoughts and some important takeaways you'll want to remember long after this video ends.